today we're going to be planting some sunflower seeds or some seeds, and we are going to work hard. So I hope you like our YouTube channel.
What's up, guys? If you're new here, my name is Dominique, but you can call me Dom. This is Nael. We are outside in the garden because we are going to be planting cool flowers. These are flowers. I am in South Carolina, coastal South Carolina, zone 8B, and so these are flowers that can survive our winter and will start blooming in the spring, early spring, and some of them might still be blooming during the beginning of summer, but for the most part these are flowers that I can get them started and get them germinated before our first frost. It's already gotten down to about, I think one day I woke up, it was 38 degrees. Our first estimated frost here in zone 8B isn't until the first week of November, and so I still have about 3 weeks. Most of these flowers I did try to plant. I have a whole book. I have this book right here called Cool Flowers. I've had it since I moved here 3 years ago, but this will be the first year that I'm actually trying to grow my cool flowers in the fall, because we're still in the fall season, so in the fall time, overwintering them. Last year I did grow bachelor buttons and snapdragons over winter. I planted them in November and they sprouted and they really started blooming in the early spring and then died when it got really hot outside. So this book is really good. It has a section in the back where I have my seeds in between the pages, but it goes through every cool flower that you can possibly start, and it tells you how to start them. It tells you how high they grow, and all of the information that you need. And so I just have my seeds in between each page because these are the seeds that we're going to be planting out today. I also have my garden plan out here for next year. Right now, this is what I've done in the fall months. And so I have a cover crop in this first bed. I already ordered my onions, so they'll be here in January, and I'll plant those onions. I cover cropped all of my tomato beds. That's what you see here. The blank ones, this is the pepper bed. These two are already covered because those are my previous potato beds. And as you can see, some of these beds I did already try to plant some seeds, but they were seeds from like they were just old seeds, a few old seeds. And then I also shared how I left for like a week and then I didn't come out here for like 10 days, and so I planted all of those seeds right before the storm. So I'm not sure if those seeds, even if they didn't get washed away, or then we had drought and we haven't actually had rain since Hurricane Helene, which has been a good while, probably 2 weeks we haven't had rain. And so I have no idea if those seeds are even still in the ground, and they were older seeds. So what I did was I went ahead and ordered just new seeds. So all of these seeds are from this year. Some of them say the sell-by date for 2025, some say sell-by date for 2024, but they're fresh seeds, and I'm going to get the beds planted again and make sure that I keep them watered in. We were also having problems with our drip, and the problem is fixed now. The drip is working, and so I think we're gonna have better success. So we're gonna go to the first bed and start planting seeds. So this is the first bed that we're going to be working in probably, and you can see that there are little, like, that is a what is it called, Bells of Ireland right here, because I did plant Bells of Ireland. We already had, this was my previous, there's some more growing there. This was my previous bean bed, and I did have a volunteer Bells of Ireland kind of in this area. So I'm not sure if that's Bells of Ireland that I planted or Bells of Ireland that is growing from the seeds that I planted. I'm pretty sure these ones would probably be the ones growing from seeds that I planted because they're way far down from where Bells of Ireland usually. I'm assuming the cat is stepping in the bed, but you can see there's some more bells of Ireland sprouting in here. Most of the plants that I'm planting do not need to be covered. They just need to be firmly planted down into the soil. So I am going to be doing that. I'm also going to use this stick or something else and make 5 rows. This bed is 4 by 16, and most of the flowers that I'm going to be planting needs a spacing of 9 inches. So that's why I'm doing 5 rows, and I'm just going to sprinkle the seeds right across. I'm not going to be worried too much about spacing because I don't assume that all of them will germinate. So since this bed already has bells of Ireland sprouting from seeds I planted and from it being replanted itself the past 2 years, I am going to keep with bells of Ireland. And so I did buy some bells of Ireland seeds, and I can look here and see what other seeds I planted in this area. I have my 5 rows, and like I said, I'm just going to be sprinkling them right in between the rows and not covering them and watering them. Oh my goodness, the cat. In the book, it tells you how much sun it needs, start from seed, so outdoors, do not cover, and how long it takes to germinate. It tells you the winter hardy zone, and so I'm in zone 8, so this can survive my winter. The height, if you're using it as a cut and garden, which I am, so 9 inches. It's deer resistant, all of the things. And so I am just going to be sprinkling them, and I'm not going to be like worried about spacing. And so this little 1 pack isn't, I thought I ordered, well, I guess I did order a bigger than just like a regular seed packet, but I thought this would be more in it than it is. It's only like that much full. So this is not going to be enough to cover this whole bed. So then I'll look here and look at the seeds. Like I know one of them is Rudbeckia, which is Black-Eyed Susan, and I have those seeds as well. I'll probably hand those to Nael, and then she can start putting them in the holes. Yeah, that's what you can do, Nael. You can open those and you can start planting those. And I'll just, all of these, Foxglove, Yarrow, Forget-Me-Not, Sweet William, Rudbeckia, and Bells of Ireland, I will plant all of these until I fill up all 5 of these rows. So Black-Eyed Susan or Rudbeckia is usually really, really tiny, a dust. And I got this pack of easy to sow pelletized because it's easier to handle. So we're going to work with that one first. But then we also have this pack that it literally feels like nothing is in it because it's sprinkles. And we'll finish the row with this one. So now you're just going to take the seed and you're just going to put it there and just do a little space and keep going down all the way down the line. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I did go ahead and sprinkle seeds all over this front area, but you can see that there's zinnias growing as well as weeds, and so I just sprinkled all of the seeds all over in this area, not really worrying about rows because we're just going to I was trying to keep this area weeded to give flowers a chance to grow, but none of the flowers I planted started to grow except for these zinnias, and they're going to die by the time the frost happens. So we're just going to keep it weeded and hope that the forget-me-nots can sprout up and blind out these weeds. When I did this for this area, this back area is doing great in the back, but the other half of the bed I'll have to replant as well. So the next bed that we're going to work on is this bed. I also planted seeds in this bed, but you can see right now the only thing that's trying to grow is zinnias. And there's basil there. Those are zinnias. And then some weeds. Look, this looks like a cantaloupe trying to sprout up here. I'm debating on whether or not I should just cover this bed with that black plastic. I think I'm gonna actually cover this bed and not plant it. I think that's what we're gonna do. The last two beds that I planted with seeds, old seeds, and they don't seem like they've germinated, is this bed. This was all a zinnia bed. You can tell by all of the zinnias re-sprouting in here. There's so much zinnias everywhere. All of that dead debris is zinnia seeds. So I'm sure springtime comes, there's going to be so much zinnias trying to pop up. This also was, this also was zinnia and sunflower bed. And you can see there's zinnias all right there that's growing. Zinnias, between zinnias and weeds. I'm wondering if I should cover these beds as well. Originally, I planted forget-me-nots and straw flowers, but I already have a bed that I planted forget-me-nots and straw flowers, so technically I don't need to plant that bed. This bed, I planted black-eyed Susan, Amy, and baby's breath. I haven't planted, I did do black-eyed Susan because that's Rebecca, and I did it in this bed down here. The only other seeds that I haven't planted right now are the Amy and the baby's breath. So, wondering. Look at this bed. There's so many sunflower seeds. Most of them are open, but I won't be surprised if sunflowers start sprouting up. Okay, so this is what we did. This bed was already covered. We just kind of spread it out to reach halfway across that bed and halfway across that bed. The reason being is because these beds have not, I want to change all my beds into these beds, and since the flowers I planted here did not sprout or germinate in both of those beds, I'm just going to go ahead and get them completely covered until I slowly change all of these beds, because the wood that I had here, the logs, you can see that is what's left of the log. They just turned into wood chips, and so these beds really are like turning into in-ground beds. And so this summer, I should really say spring, this upcoming spring, my goal is to get all of these log raised beds turned into woodside beds. So without planting them, it's just going to make it easier, and that leaves no beds up here planted. I can go ahead and turn off the water on them. It is burning. It's really hot. Let me turn off the water off this one. I'm so glad I remembered that. I have to get some more stuff to hold this down. Then this past spring and summer, I did not plant along the fence. This bed was covered for the whole year. I just uncovered it and just sprinkled some baby breath so the soil is not bare. This one, it did not grow weeds, which is awesome because I had this landscape fabric. This one was covered, but it does have an ant pile. I did sprinkle some Amy over here. I'm going to, just in case weeds want to grow, because I do see some weeds right there that are trying to, they weren't reaching light, and so they're white. So sprinkled some seeds over here, but I moved this black plastic that was covering it and covered this one. Because although this one is a new bed, it's not completely high, and the soil, it does have an ant pile. I'm assuming it's connected right across to this one, and the soil isn't as high as I want it to be. So like you can see when I transport it over. So I'm just going to let this bed rest. I have those two beds covered with straw. I do need to add more straw on that bed. And that's pretty much it. The cover crops are looking great, amazing. They're filling out nicely. Just planted. And so really we just planted these two beds, and Anaya is weeding the weeds for me. And we'll just water this in and make sure that we're coming out and making sure we keep the weeds down until the flowers germinate. With my plan, I do have to correct it some because I do not have this salad glossus. I didn't plant that here. I covered this bed, so I need to erase that. And I covered this bed and this bed. So those are changes that I did, and everything else is really remaining the same. And this is actually just my fall garden plan. I do have a spring/summer garden plan. And so what I was trying to do is plant flowers in the spots where I know I want flowers come spring and summer, because these fall and winter flowers will be taking over these spots when it comes spring and fall. And so I don't want to plant them here now, and then when spring and fall comes, I need them to, like, they wouldn't have even been flower yet. They won't flower until late spring, early summer, and then I'll be looking for spots to plant my summer crops. And so I tried to make sure that the places I'm planting flowers now, that I want flowers there in the spring and summer. So I went ahead and, which is really, really early, I usually don't do my spring garden plan until like January, February, but I went ahead and did it now so that I could know where I had spaces to plant flowers, or where I wanted to plant flowers. So I'll go ahead and link this book down below if you're interested in this book. It's really, really cool. It's a really, really cool book, and it literally tells you everything you need to know. I just looked at our forecast, and within the next week there's no sight of rain. It's going to be in the low to mid 80s, so I do want to make sure that I'm coming out here or sending the girls out here to water, or making sure that my drip is on. I'm going to walk over right now and make sure that my drip is still working. I believe it is, because I checked the hoop house yesterday and the hoop house plants would have been dead if the drip isn't working. But I'm just going to go ahead and double check and make sure that the drip is still on. And but then also coming out here, since most of these plants are soil sown, which means that if the drip is not dripping directly on them, because the drip drips underneath the soil and then spreads out, but since water won't be directly on them, I still may have to come out here and sprinkle water just on the soil to make sure that the surface where the seeds are planted is maintaining like moisture, if that makes sense. So thank you guys for hanging out with me while we planted all of these cool flowers, covered up some more beds, talked through garden plan, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye guys.